For some people, success is the first thing they think about when they get up in the morning.
When you start your day, you must own your morning.
Recently, I made a video about how successful Indians were in America.
Did you know that Indian immigrants in the USA are making 100 grand a year?
Recently, I've been getting a lot of comments on that video though, and as I'm scrolling through them, some of them are making some great points, others are just super funny, and in today's video, I'm seeing that I got 6 more reasons why Indians are so successful in the USA that I think can help out anybody no matter where you're living, whether it's India, the USA, or even a place like Moldova. I had also asked, are Indian parents strict? And the comments were really insightful. And also, a lot of them were funny. So we're gonna cover that at the end of the video. First, I need some breakfast and some tea.
Hey everybody, if you're new here, I'm Ben Jenks. I've been in India for over 2 years, and I make weekly videos to help people have a wonderful time in this amazing country. Today, let's cover why Indians are so successful in America. Again, I got some more really interesting ideas from the viewers here about why that's happening. To make this video, I looked at 1,453 comments on the last video I made about why Indians were so successful in America.
There was a good point made in the last video that comparing the average median income of Indian Americans versus regular Americans, if we can call them that, isn't fair. Because for an Indian to make it in America, they gotta jump through a lot of hoops. They're probably gonna get an H-1B visa, which means they're extremely skilled. It takes money to fly over there, start a new life. It takes courage, it takes persistence to continue to get American citizenship. So that type of person doesn't represent like the average American who just, hello, I'm born, you know, let me go to work and let's see what happens here. And I agree with that point. What I thought was so interesting about that statistic was that Indians' median income was much higher than the Chinese, the Filipinos, the Japanese, the Vietnamese, the Koreans. And I think that's a more fair comparison and one that I thought was more relevant, especially the Chinese since both have such high populations. So let's take a look at those in this video.
The first reason is that Indians have very supportive, stable families. India has the lowest divorce rate in the entire world.
Quick interruption with terrible quality video as I'm editing this. If you're liking it so far though, please click the thumbs up. Thank you. The divorce rate in India is 1%, the divorce rate in China is 2%, and the divorce rate in America is 49%.
And less than 5% of households are single parent. Whereas in the US, 23% of households are single parent. That's the highest in the world.
Another study says
even stable single parent households are likely to do worse on some measures than a child of a married couple. Many Indians still live in a joint family situation. So you may have the husband's family, the wife's family, the grandparents, the children, all in one home. In a study with 50 nuclear families and 50 joint families, the health of the nuclear families was poor comparatively. The children in the joint family had more time with their parents. There was more alcoholism in the nuclear family. The parents of the nuclear families couldn't give sufficient time to the children, which you can imagine has a big impact on how that child matures and grows up and eventually gets a job. Living in a joint family home can help you resolve conflicts, increase your interpersonal skills, understand how to lose your self-identity in the same way you might by working hard at a company while not thinking of yourself.
As we can see here with data from the United Nations, India has 4.6 members in each household. China has 3.4 members in each household. The USA has 2.5 members in each household. Japan has 2.3. On a weirdly morbid note, what's 0.3 of a person? Is that just like a kid's head? Is Japan just having like little baby heads? All right, that was terrible. Indians are some of the hardest workers in the entire world. On average, they're working between 53 and 54 hours every week in the big cities. In the villages, 46 to 47 hours per week. Men in the big cities can work an average of 60 to 84 hours on the high end. That's crazy. That's over twice the average work week in many other countries. So Indians are definitely working hard. Now, the Chinese are also working hard. They're working an average of 46 hours per week in China. In America, they're working 34 hours per week. So does that difference lead to the higher income? It very may well be. However, it should be noted that the Chinese are pretty working. They're working hard. They're hard workers. They're up there too. They even have this concept called the 996, which means they basically work from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 6 days a week. I'm mumbling. I'm getting so ahead of myself here. But it's an exciting point. Hard work could help you get ahead.
In another study, more Indians said that they would work 5 days a week, even if they had the option to work less for the same pay, which was the highest out of the study. One of the reasons Indians work so hard is because of the competition. 1.3 billion people. There are a lot of people in India. Indian classrooms have more than 50 people on average. American classrooms have between 20 and 30. The competition for jobs over the last year in India has also increased 30% according to LinkedIn. And with more than 80% of Indians working in jobs that don't have regular pay or social benefits, you can imagine that when you're applying for work, you're going to be having to compete with a lot of other people.
It should be noted though that China has a larger population than India. So some people made this point that, well, there's so many Indians. If we send some to America, of course they're going to do better. But if that was true, Chinese would make more than Indians, and they make significantly less. They make $30,000 a year less. So there's something else going on.
As I was reading through these comments, it reminded me of the way Spartan warriors were trained. One of the fiercest fighting forces in all of history. When I was a kid on the track team, my coach would tell us about these warriors to toughen us up and inspire us. And I wonder if there's a similar thing going on. I could be wrong, but stick with me for a second. Let me actually get this. Plutarch, he describes the way some Spartan warriors were trained, and it is intense. The weak were left by the mountain to die. Only the strong were allowed to live. When they were young, they were taken from their families and put into a training or a school or an education to become a great warrior. They weren't given enough food, they weren't given enough clothing, and it was encouraged to fight and steal for what you needed. Now, if you were caught, you were beaten, but being beaten was almost like a show of how tough you were. What this led to was an army that was organized, strong, extremely well trained, and very loyal. And if you've watched the movie 300, there we go. If you watch 300, it makes for a pretty good film. But also I wonder if that sort of upbringing may have had an effect on someone who's just hungry and ready to work hard, take that chance, and to make the most of it. However, there was a downside. I noticed some people had a poor experience. And it makes me wonder, let me get another book. Quiet by Susan Cain. It's a book about introverts versus extroverts and how each could be successful. And one study that relates is that extroverts prefer being in a competitive environment. They thrive and have friends who they compete with, like an athlete maybe. Introverts thrive in a cooperative environment and make friends with people who are generally friendly to them. So it makes me wonder if some of these people who aren't doing well in that competitive environment, if they should seek out a cooperative environment and look for a way that they can play to their strengths. Indians' educational system could also be a factor in their success. India's most prestigious universities are some of the most difficult in the entire world to get into. Oxford accepts every 1 in 5 applicants. Harvard accepts 1 in 20 applicants. IIT in India, 1 out of 50 applicants. So if you want to be good, you're going to have to work for it. India's educational system is ranked 35th in the world and moving up. However, the countries we're comparing India against did rank better. And Indian universities, when ranked out of the entire world, were not the highest. So in the US, Harvard is number 1. We have in China, the Tsinghua University is 28. In South Korea, Seoul National University is 129. And India's top universities rank 520th, 564, and 575. So if we're talking specifically, does the education system in India lead to more money in the US? Then we're not seeing that correlation. There must be something else. Other people mentioned Indians' savings. Some of them were funny. This one guy mentioned it as controlled expenditure. Other ones were basically saying Indians are cheap. Of course, I would never say that. But globally, Indians do save and invest more than other ethnic groups. They are also ranked very low on indulgence or spending money for personal pleasures compared to Americans, which are blowing money all over the place on our fast food and big screen TVs. I got that data from this cultural survey tool. You can compare countries across different metrics such as power distance, basically loyalty to your boss, not being too rebellious. You can see that China and India are at the top. With individualism, China's at the bottom, India's in the middle, America's on the top. Masculinity, uncertainty avoidance, probably the people who will save for a rainy day in the future, similar to long-term orientation. Are you thinking about your long-term life? Are you thinking about YOLO, let's do it right now? And then finally, indulgence. So again, buying something right now, personal pleasure versus saving for the future. So while it looks clear that Indians are great savers and they can postpone short-term indulgence for long-term gain and success, when compared to China or Japan, they actually seem a little bit less according to this metric, if that's true. So what does that mean? Maybe saving isn't the main thing that's getting them ahead in America. Maybe it's something else. Now, before we get to how strict Indian parents are and see some funny comments, I think it's important to mention that we're talking about success here, but that money doesn't directly lead to success. There are other factors. And in a study Princeton did, they found that in America, making up to $75,000 a year led to more happiness. After making more than that, it didn't lead to more happiness, and in fact, could lead to less happiness. And I noticed some comments that pointed this out, and it's a good point. If you're making $350 a month and you're happy, heck yeah. I drive around on some of these dirt roads. It's part of the reason why I enjoy it. And I look at this small house in the country, a person has their farm, their animals, and it just looks wonderful to me. It looks so peaceful. It looks like a wonderful way to live. If that's not success, I don't know what is. Also, if you plan on staying in India or if you live here, the cost of living is significantly different. So you don't need $100,000 to be successful. $100,000 in New York is $18,528 in New Delhi. So we're talking about 110,000 rupees every month. If you live in a city like I do, it's even far less than that. If you lived in a village, much less. Plus, India's prospects for the future look good. It's now the fastest growing major economy, and some people are saying that it could be the second largest economy by 2050. Now, one smart commenter said that if you were to live in India and make money in America working online, you could get a big piece of the pie.
Now, if you're like me who does work online, has for 10 years, that concept was very overwhelming at first, very confusing. Where do you start? There's all these little scams like, make $1 million in 2 weeks, just join now, join now, join now, join now, join now. Make tons of money from home, join now, join now, join now. One thing that I found to be very helpful is a course called Project 24. And it means that in 24 months, the goal is that you can make a full-time income online.
If you're one of our YouTube subscribers, you've seen how Ricky and I have built a network of passive income websites that provide really well for our families.
So it's a lot of hard work for 2 years where you don't make much money. But you can do it as you work another job, and once you're done, you can have a business you really enjoy. You can do it at home or wherever you want to live, or with your family more. So that's something that I would personally recommend if you're interested. It's not for everyone, but if you want to start a blog or a YouTube channel, you can check the description below and see if it fits for you.
So our final reason, as I looked at all the 1,453 comments, I saw 153 that said Indian parents were very strict. "18 said they weren't that strict. Now, one thing that was cool was that most people had a positive sentiment about their parents and said it was ultimately for the best. And some were hilarious. The ones about not having a girlfriend or being 20 or 30 or 40 years old and still getting hit by your mom's slipper or her chapal cracked me up.
So now that we've made the case for each of these factors, which one do you think is the strongest? I know that for me, when I'm looking at them, it seems like supportive families seems to make the strongest case. But I'm curious what you think. Please put your comment down below. Say what's up. Maybe we'll do another video, the third video. No, I'm just kidding. We probably won't do that. But it is always nice to see and hear from you. Thank you so much for watching. Looking forward to seeing you or hearing from you in another video.